Welcome to the Freelance Unlocked Behind the Scenes series, where I'm showcasing the amazing people who will be at a Freelance Unlocked Conference, the first and the best conference for freelancers, which is made with love, and it'll take place in Berlin on May 14th, 15th, 2025. If you're a freelancer in Europe, it's an event made for you to learn, exchange experiences, and build your network of great freelancers and experts who move the freelance economy forward. So go to freelanceunlocked.com and grab your ticket right away. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Freelance Unlocked, and my guest is Jomiro Eming, a freelance designer and storyteller who transforms brands, events, and creative projects into compelling, human-centered narratives and just loves storytelling. So, hello, Jomiro.
Hey, hey.
Super happy to talk to you. Very unexpected journey of how we met, but I'm just it makes me even more excited about this conversation. So let's start with the beginning. Tell me a little about your freelance journey.
Yes, so I started, I think, very traditionally, had a 9 to 5 job at a tech company. And after about 2 years of doing that, I think throughout the 2 years, I also had a constant inner unrest of wanting to do more in my free time. And at some point, I realized, why am I waiting for the evenings to do the things I want to do? Why can't I just do those during the day? And that's when I made the switch to, yeah, becoming self-employed or a solopreneur, freelancer, whatever you want to call it. And have been, yeah, building my way up from there ever since. And I'm so much happier for it.
Is it how you say that you are a workaholic without saying it out loud?
Yeah, oh my God, I'm such a workaholic. I'm such a workaholic.
Okay, so give me a sneak peek into what you'll be talking about on the Freelance Unlocked stage.
Yes. It's something quite personal to me, just because it's something that I've very much from the beginning had to learn and teach myself. So I'm hoping this is the kind of talk I wish I heard way back or even now, I think. But essentially, I'm going to be unpacking how things that we are told are weaknesses are actually great opportunities to be strengths. And I even call them superpowers, that they are these assets that we try so desperately to push away or hide or deny. Um, but by just flipping the narrative on those, telling a different story to ourselves, we can leverage those as massive strengths. They could be so useful and such great multipliers.
How did you come up with this idea? Do you have a specific moment in your journey where you were dealing with some self-doubts or maybe weaknesses, and then like, wait a second, I can really use that?
Absolutely. I think but maybe not so much a very specific moment, but I can definitely speak to one specific weakness. And I think, you just said workaholic. I pride myself in being insanely productive, but
Mm.
I'm also insanely lazy. And that sounds counterintuitive. I think that people will probably think that sounds ridiculous, but at some point I realized that those moments of being lazy was actually when I came up with some of the best ideas. And that's when I started clicking and thinking, like, this is not a thing that I should avoid being, like, actually sinking into that laziness and settling into that laziness helps me helps my brain fire in different ways and come up with really innovative solutions that I think I wouldn't have otherwise thought of, because we're just getting into the routine and the habit phase. And laziness is almost a way to step out of that for a while. So that would be the weakness that really started me thinking on this.
That sounds like work smart, not hard. Because when people are telling me that, oh, I'm working so hard, I'm working like 18 hours a day, I'm like, yeah, good for you, but are you sure you're doing things right?
Hmm.
Because like at the end of the day, like in my personal word, I would love to work like 2 hours a day, but like
Yep.
extremely productive. And like, to do something that people can do for weeks or months in those 2 hours. And I feel like it's a long way to there, like, and I feel like laziness is something that is really helpful because every time when I meet some kind of routine task that I hate doing, I'm always trying to find like the way to automate it or the way to delegate
Hmm.
it or the way
Hmm.
to make it more interesting. Like, yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
I'm still curious, how can freelancers make this mindset shift so that they can see their weaknesses as an opportunity instead of fighting with them?
So I think there are very specific ways of thinking about it based on the weakness. And I mean, I go into this in the talk in more detail at Freelance Unlocked, but I think in general, it's really important. So the first step is to tell a different narrative, to not see them as weaknesses. Um, and to practice that is also really important because otherwise it's very theoretical. But that that first step of not seeing them as weaknesses is probably one of the most powerful steps because then you've already changed the relationship, your own relationship to those weaknesses. And then it's really about seeing what that weakness is signaling or what those moments are signaling. So whether it's fear or self-doubt or laziness, they tend to be your body signals for something. And if
Hmm.
you can figure out what those signals are, you can then ask different questions. You can take different steps. And there might even be a biological use within those. So, I mean, fear is a great example because fear generally, and even if it's a small fear, like it doesn't have to be, falling from an airplane fear. It can be something much, much more minor, but there is still
Like,
adrenaline and cortisol, right? And those chemicals in your brain are creating heightened sense of focus, heightened sense of awareness, and all of those things you can biologically use those to your advantage if you're aware of them.
so you talked a little bit about the laziness and how it makes you become more productive. So let's talk about the one thing that freelancers are afraid the most,
Mhm,
calling to clients or
mhm,
sending an offer or talking about
mhm,
money. How to
mhm.
reframe these things into opportunities.
So happy you brought that up. I also talk about exactly this in the talk as well. But a great example is something which I often wonder when I'm speaking to a client, especially new clients, is that feeling of like, if I don't get this project, or like even better, like they're not going to pay, right? That's a huge fear. It's like they're going to miss the payment deadline, they're not going to pay the deposit, whatever the case is. And for me, using that as a signal would look like, okay, that fear of not being paid, it's telling me that there is not enough security in place. So maybe there are steps I can take to build some reassurance into this project, whether it's adding an interest fee to late payments, not starting the project until the full payment is made, like forget the deposit. If you have that fear, if there is that risk, like ask for a full payment upfront and change the delivery, whatever the case is. But all of those actions you can take from the fear are way
Hmm.
more productive than just sitting with the fear and hoping it goes away, because then you haven't done anything different.
Yeah, exactly. And how they usually say that if you are doing the same thing over and over again, why do you expect about the different results? So,
Perfectly said.
so without giving away the whole talk, you already gave away some ideas from inside, but without giving away the whole talk, what's one idea or message you hope every person who will listen to it will take away? And maybe what is something they can already start working on?
So I'm going to give two little teasers, not just one. You get a bonus for being so nice. I think the two big takeaways that I hope people will get, and I'm really looking forward to meeting everyone, is firstly, mindset is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful tool we have as freelancers. Um, that in general, I will be speaking how it applies to weakness, but I think, even outside of just thinking weaknesses, like that mindset, that story we tell, massively powerful. And then the second sort of teaser, I think I'd love people to take away is that there are things that we've been told about weaknesses that are really, really useful to interrogate, and to question how true they are and whether there's another way around it.
If someone And I can tell you, there are many freelancers who are dealing with mindset shift and they are trying to find their way. So, for those people who are dealing with it right now and still we have some time before the conference, what is one smallest step they can take right away so they can go and say thank you to you at the conference?
I think something people can start doing already before the conference when it comes to shifting mindset is learning to pause. I think I always think about it as action reaction. Something happens and we react, but in between those, there is a brief moment. Sometimes it's extremely brief. But if we can start practicing pausing, so before reacting to whatever action has happened, I think that is already super useful because that is where the mindset shifting happens. So even if you don't get to the mindset shifting before Freelance Unlocked, if you can figure out where those moments are to pause, then all you have to do is the work inside there.
You know, I really wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit. So, the final question: what is your quick take on the freelance economy and how it will develop in the near future?
Very simply put, I think the freelance economy is only growing. I think there are obvious challenges, and I think there are some very new challenges with AI. But if freelancers have been anything for the last 30 years, it's adaptable. So I have no doubt that any change in the economy is going to be too difficult for freelancers to overcome. And with the number of freelancers growing every day, I think the opportunities are just getting bigger and bigger.
So, you definitely will be at a freelance unlocked because you are a speaker. And what would you say to your friend if they asked you whether they should go to the freelance unlocked?
The biggest asset to my freelance career has been network. And I think if you aren't meeting other people, be it potential clients or fellow freelancers, then you're going to have much harder time. Um, Network is everything, especially when you're a freelancer. And conferences like these are invaluable opportunities to network.
Got it. And what is the best way to connect with you even before the conference?
LinkedIn, I'm always on LinkedIn. That's a super great way, and I'm yeah, always love connecting with people on LinkedIn. So that would be numero uno.
Jomiro, thank you so much for sharing just a few steps already, even before your speech. I hope that people can really take this, listen, and start implementing. And hopefully, they will come, listen to your speech, and learn even more. And I myself can't wait to finally meet you in person and learn even more from your talk.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to meet you especially, and to see everyone else at Freelance Unlocked as well.
Thank you very much. And for those who listen, I hope you learn from Jomiro's experience already and go and say thank you to him in person at the Freelance Unlocked Conference on May 14th, 15th, 2025 in Berlin. So go to freelanceunlocked.com, grab your ticket, and meet you there.